You trusted someone once, and then you did not, and now you check. You check texts, you check tones, you check faces, you read into silences, you wait for the moment someone proves you right. Most people call that anxiety. Some call it overthinking. But for 95% of human history, nobody had a word for it, because nobody needed one. Your brain did not break. It just moved into a world it was never designed for. Picture a group of about 30 people. No walls, no locks, just open land, a fire, and the same 30 faces every single day. You were born knowing those faces. You would die knowing them. Every person in your world had a history with you, a shared hunt, a shared hunger, a shared loss. Trust was not a feeling back then. It was a calculation your body made automatically. Every day, the same people showed up. Every day, they did what they said they would do. Not because they were noble, because if they did not, they starved. Here is what is fascinating. In 1992, a researcher named Robin Dunbar began studying how primate brains grow in relation to group size. What he found was not about intelligence, it was about relationships. The bigger the social group an animal lived in, the larger the part of its brain used for tracking others. In humans, that number stabilized at around 150 people. Not 150 strangers, 150 people you actually knew. 150 people whose faces, histories, and intentions you could hold in your mind at once. That was the limit. Not a rule someone invented, a biological ceiling. Inside that circle, trust was almost automatic. You knew who shared food generously. You knew who disappeared when the work was hard. You knew who comforted the children and who did not. There were no masks because there was nowhere to hide. Every action was witnessed. Every failure was remembered. Every kindness was seen. Your ancestor did not have to decide whether to trust someone. The group had already decided for them. Now think about your morning. You woke up in a building full of people you have never spoken to. You walked past strangers on a street. You sat near someone at work whose last name you do not know. You read words written by a person you will never meet. And at some point today, without realizing it, your brain tried to do what it always does. It tried to calculate, it tried to read, it tried to figure out who was safe. But the data was not there. The history was not there. The 30 faces were gone, and in their place were thousands. Here is where it gets strange. A researcher named Joseph Henrich, studying human cooperation across cultures, found something that surprised even him. In smaller, tighter communities, people consistently trusted strangers less. But they trusted their inner circle almost completely. Not because small communities were suspicious, because they did not need to extend trust beyond what they could verify. Your ancestor never had to trust a stranger. Strangers were a threat. Every person outside the group was unknown, unpredictable, and potentially dangerous. And now, you are surrounded by them. Every day, everywhere. But that is not the whole story. Think about the last time someone let you down. Not a stranger, someone you chose, someone you decided to trust. It hurt in a way that felt almost physical, because it was. Imagine losing food in a world where food meant survival. Imagine a member of your group taking more than their share during a drought, or disappearing during a hunt and coming back with empty hands and a story. That betrayal did not just sting, it could end your life. Your body learned to remember that feeling, not as a thought, as a warning system. In 2003, a neuroscientist named Naomi Eisenberger ran a brain scanning study at the University of California, Los Angeles. She wanted to understand what happens inside the brain when someone experiences social rejection. What she found was not a social response. It was a survival response. The same regions that activate when the body feels physical pain lit up when a person was left out and excluded. Not similar regions. The same ones. Your brain does not distinguish between a broken bone and a broken promise. Both register as damage. Both trigger the same ancient alarm. And once that alarm fires, something else happens. Your brain updates its model of the world. It does not just remember the person who hurt you. It widens the warning. It starts looking for patterns, similar voices, similar behaviors, similar situations. It prepares you for a threat that might come again from a different direction. That is not paranoia. That is ancient threat detection running exactly as designed. Here is what nobody talks about. For most of human existence, that system worked. You got hurt once by someone in the group. The group saw it. The group responded. And the situation resolved inside the same 30 faces you already knew. The update your brain made was small. One person, one pattern, one adjustment. But your world today is not 30 people. It is thousands of interactions. hundreds of relationships, dozens of platforms, and an endless stream of strangers performing versions of themselves you cannot verify. Your brain is still making updates, still widening the warning, still preparing for patterns, except the patterns never resolve, because the group never closes, because there is no fire to sit around at the end of the day where everyone can see each other clearly. Researchers who study how ancient minds process social threats, including evolutionary psychologist John Tooby, have argued that the human brain evolved to treat social rejection as physically dangerous, not emotionally uncomfortable, physically dangerous, because in a group of 30, being cast out meant death. You are not oversensitive. You are running ancient software in a world that has changed faster than any brain can follow. Every time you replay a conversation, every time you search for hidden meaning in a short reply, every time you feel that tight, quiet dread after someone goes cold without explanation, that is not weakness. That is a system built for a world where your life depended on reading people correctly. Except that world is gone, and the system is still running. But none of this explains the strangest part. Here is what is fascinating. Ancient humans were not naturally trusting. They were naturally accurate. There is a difference. They did not walk through life assuming everyone was good. They walked through life with enough information to know who was. The trust was not blind. It was earned slowly, witnessed publicly, and held collectively. The group remembered so you did not have to. A researcher named Christopher Boehm spent decades studying social behavior in small human communities across multiple continents. He found something consistent everywhere he looked. In tight groups, reputation was not personal. It was communal. If you wronged someone, the whole group knew before sunset. Not through gossip, through proximity. Everyone saw everything. That meant trust was never really a private decision. It was a shared one. You did not have to figure out if someone was safe alone. 30 pairs of eyes had already done that for you. Now you do it alone. Every time. With everyone. Think about how exhausting that is. You meet someone new, and your brain immediately begins collecting data. Their word choices, their eye contact, their timing, how they talk about other people. Whether their story stays the same the second time they tell it. You are running calculations your ancestor never had to run solo. And when something feels wrong, you cannot check with the group. Because there is no group. There is just you, alone, trying to decide what is real. That quiet suspicion you carry, that habit of waiting for people to prove themselves, that small voice that says, "Not yet," even when everything looks fine. You probably call it trust issues, but here is what it actually is. It is an ancient verification system operating without its original infrastructure. Your brain was never meant to assess trust alone. It was built to do it collectively, slowly, inside a group that shared the same information. Remove the group, remove the shared history, remove the 30 faces you have known since birth, and the system does not break. It just works overtime. Forever. On everyone. All at once. In a world of strangers, your brain treats every new person the way your ancestor treated someone walking out of the dark from an unknown direction. Not with hostility, with caution, with watchfulness, with patience before trust. That is not damage. That is design. The fire is gone. The 30 faces are gone. The world where trust built itself slowly through shared survival is gone. But the part of your brain that needed all of that is still here, still watching, still waiting for enough evidence to finally feel safe. It has been waiting a long time.